Hey, B2B leaders, feeling stuck in your growth journey as you've exhausted all your plays? Tired of doing things the same way and not seeing results? I'm Stacie Sussman, your host, and this is C-Suite Strategies, your podcast for the explosive business growth you've been chasing. We'll bring you conversations with industry visionaries who've truly mastered the art of scaling businesses. This isn't just theory, it's what we live and breathe every single day. Get ready for game-changing insights that'll transform your approach to business growth. Whether you're a seasoned C-Suite executive or an ambitious founder, we've got you covered. C-Suite Strategies is your backstage pass to reaching that next level of business. Follow C-Suite Strategies now, and let's make this your new reality. Hey, Pod Squad. Welcome to another episode of C-Suite Strategies. This episode is going to be great, and we're going to talk about one of my favorite topics that's been happening around the rooms I've been hanging out in: why your data lake is actually a swamp, the real reason your AI isn't working, and honestly, it has nothing to do with your tools. So, today I want to start this episode with something that nobody in the space wants to say out loud. Ready for it? Your data is garbage. Not kind of garbage. Not needs a little cleanup garbage. I mean, you have been making million-dollar pipeline decisions, defending marketing budgets in front of your CEO, and building go-to-market strategies on data that honestly no one is correctly filling out. And here's the part that really gets me. Most of you already know this. You feel it every time you pull a report and something doesn't add up. You feel it in the board meeting when someone asks you to explain a number and you're doing mental gymnastics, trying to remember which way you massaged and finessed the numbers. You're not reading your revenue story, you're telling a hypothesis and hoping no one asks too many follow-up questions. I've seen it go wrong quite a few times in corporate. Now, if you've been anywhere near a business conversation in the last, 12 to 18 months, you've heard the buzz. And if you haven't, here we are to tell you. Structured data, unstructured data, data lakes, AI-ready infrastructure. Everyone is talking about it. Every conferences has a panel on it. Every consultant has an opinion on it. All my friends in corporate have coalitions and project teams and special ops working on it. But here's what nobody's actually saying. Most mid-market companies have no idea which category they're in. And the ones that think they have structured data, a lot of them don't. I've been doing this work building marketing ops and sales ops infrastructure for mid-market B2B companies for, let's say, over a decade. And I can tell you with complete confidence, the gap between the companies that are winning right now and the ones that are stuck, it's not their tools. It's not their headcount. It's not even their strategy. I know I said it. It's their data foundation. So today we're going to go there. We're talking about structured data, unstructured data, data lakes, and why AI, as incredible as it is, will make your problem significantly worse if you skip this step. So let's get into it. Okay, so I want to break down this without making your eyes glaze over, because I know the second someone says data infrastructure, half of you are already checking your phones onto the next thing. Please stay with me. This is the stuff that changes everything. Let's start with unstructured data, because chances are that's what you're sitting on right now. Unstructured data is what happens when your CRM becomes a junk drawer. You know, we all have them, most likely. I have them in the kitchen. It's the lead source file that says other 70% of the time. It's the deal stage that nobody updates because the sales team decided they'd just tell you where things are on that Monday sales call. It's the company name filled out where someone typed in, ready, my favorite, NYC, and someone else typed up New York with a capital N and a capital Y, and someone else typed all lowercase New York, comma, NY, again, all lowercase. And now your territory reporting is a total cluster because nobody can understand that these 3 locations are all New York City. It's the automation that got built 3 years ago for our business model you don't even run anymore, still firing, still touching contacts, still doing things nobody intended. It's the SOP that lives in Stacie's head. But Stacie would never do that because Stacie built the system in 2019 and Stacie is the only one that really knows how it works. And God forbid Stacie ever left. The horror. That's unstructured data. And here's the brutal part. It looks like data. You can pull it into a dashboard. You can pull it into a beautiful slide deck. It will have charts and colors and trend lines. But underneath, it's a story you might have made up. Now, I want you to picture something. Picture a lake, not a clear, clean, mountainous lake. I mean a murky one, the kind where you're standing at the edge and you literally cannot see the bottom. There's stuff floating in it. There's sediment. There's debris from years of getting things tossed in without any real system. You don't know what's down there. You definitely wouldn't drink from it. And you definitely wouldn't build anything real formal on top of it. That is your data lake right now. If your data is unstructured, it's a contained body of information that looks like something from the outside. It's got volume, it's got depth, but you cannot see it clearly through. You cannot trust what's at the bottom, and every decision you make from it is, guess what? Dressed up as a strategy. Now, structured data, the good kind of data lake, is the opposite. It's a system where the fields, ones that actually drive your revenue decisions, are filled out correctly, consistently, and since nobody's perfect, I'll say 80 to 90% of the time. Again, I'm not asking for perfect. I'm asking for consistent enough that when you pull a number, you can truly defend it as a marketer and an executive. So it's not a rough estimate dressed up in a bar chart. When you look at a data lake and it is clean, you can see to the bottom. And that's when everything in your business changes. You can move quickly. You can trust what you're looking at. And then when you layer AI on top of that clean foundation, you're not just swimming in the lake anymore. You're building like the Hoover Dam. You're building a whole water ecosystem. You're predicting. You're surfacing patterns before they become problems. You're telling your CEO exactly where to put the next dollar before you have a dollar to waste. And that, my friends, is what people are looking to do in this AI era. But AI, on top of murky, debris-filled lakes, tell you what it gets you. More confident garbage faster. I said it. No one else will. It's okay. Beautifully formatted garbage that arrives in your inbox every month, every week, every quarter, and makes you feel like you're on top of the things that you absolutely are not. Listen, and I'll say this one very important statement. The tool is only as good as what you feed it. Mic drop. All right. I'm going to tell you something that I tell every single client before we start working with them together at Rev Up Advisory. And I'm going to tell you the same thing I tell them directly and without apology because this is why they hire us. Getting your data and your strategy infrastructure to where it actually needs to be. It takes about a year. I said it. I'm being honest. Not 6 to 8 weeks, not 4 months. About a year, and sometimes more. Let that sit in. I heard you groan. I heard you say, Stacie, what are you talking about? I get it. Nobody wants to hear that. You want to tell me that we can clean this up in a quarter and run a few automations and you'll be so good to go. And I could tell you that. I could lie to your face and tell you that. And honestly, some consulting firms will tell you that. But most CMOs I talk to aren't failing because they lack strategy. They're failing because nobody ever fixed the foundation. So they keep hiring and they keep adding tools. They keep firefighting, and marketing and sales. They're still not talking to each other, but we wish they would. That's not just a people problem. That's really, in our words, a foundation problem. And once you fix it, the impossible starts looking very possible. If this sounds like your business right now, DM me the word foundation on LinkedIn, search Stacie Sussman, and let's talk about what's actually going on in your business. At RevUp Advisory, we believe in brutal honesty and transparency with our clients. And so I'm going to say they're lying to you, and that's not why you're here. Here's why it takes the time it takes, because any good truth bomb comes with an explanation. First, we have to do a full audit. And I don't mean a quick scan. I mean, we go field by field through your systems, your tech stack, your CRM, your marketing automation, your journeys, your integrations. And we figure out what exists, what's being used, what's being ignored, and what's actively making things worse. That alone takes longer than people expected. And yes, we use AI and technology tools to make it faster. Then comes the gap analysis. Sometimes the fields you don't know exist at all, or sometimes the fields you need have never existed in the first place because nobody ever built them. So we have to build them, and then we have to figure out how to get your team to actually use them, which has its own conversation about change management that I can write a whole separate episode on. Then there's the restructuring, fields that exist but are used wrong, stages that don't match your actual sales process and cycle, lead sources that make absolute no sense from the 2020s and are completely meaningless now. Then the automation rework. This is where it gets really fun. And by fun, I mean occasionally horrifying. But don't worry, we love this part. Old automations firing, bad logic, sequences triggering at the wrong time, workflows that were built for a product you don't even sell anymore. Still running in the background, still touching your contacts, and still creating business noise. And then the big one, SOP alignment. And if you don't know what an SOP is in our world, it's standard operating procedures. This is where most companies are bleeding out and they don't even know it. The process your team follows today is completely different from what your system is set up to track. Your reps are doing it in a certain order. Your marketers are qualifying the lead a certain way. But the system is tracking something else entirely. That gap between what's actually happening and what the system thinks is happening, this is where your data dies every single day. So yes, it takes time. And that time is an investment, not necessarily in software, but it may be, not necessarily in headcount, but it may be, but your ability to walk into any room at any level and tell a revenue story that holds up under pressure. Is that worth the year? I say, of course it is, but that's for you to decide. Okay. I've been in your ear about what's broken. Let me tell you what happens when you fix it. At RevUp Advisory, we've done this now with multiple clients off a range of industries: HR consulting, food and hospitality, MarTech, marketing, professional services, real estate, you name it, we've probably done it. Different sectors, different tech stacks, different team sizes, but all within the confines of our favorite CRMs, HubSpot, and Salesforce. But the same foundational problem every single time: a murky data lake that nobody fully trusted, feeding decisions that no one can really even defend. Here's what the work actually looked like. We come in, we identify the key fields, not every field, key fields that align with the business it actually is trying to do from a revenue goal perspective. We rebuild the infrastructure around those fields, the automation, the SOPs. You now know what I'm talking about. I see you. The processes. We make the system reflect reality of the business instead of the other way around. And what comes out the other side is something I genuinely love to watch. CMOs and sales executives walking into leadership meetings board meetings, investor meetings, C-suite conversations, stages, keynotes, and being able to defend their numbers with storytelling. Not present them and hope for the best, defend them, answer follow-up questions, drill down on demand, explain the trends behind the trends because you have the data that supports it. That's what clean data does. It gives you your authority back. And then once the foundation is solid, then we bring in AI, and that's where it genuinely gets very, very exciting because AI with cleaned, structured data in a data lake doesn't just report on what happened. It starts to tell you what's actually going on in your business. It surfaces the patterns you would have missed. It tells you which leads are worth chasing before you waste 3 months of sales times on the wrong ones. It tells you where to put your marketing budget before you blow it up on a channel that was never going to convert for your audience and your ICP anyway. That's not just magic. That's what happens when you give a powerful tool a clean lake to work with. I want to share one example that I think captures this better than anything else I could ever say. One of our premier clients, an HR consulting firm, has been around for over 20 years, mid-market, exactly the kind of company we work with, did this foundational work with us, built the infrastructure, cleaned the data, got their marketing ops on board, eventually got their sales ops on board, and actually created a one revenue system. And guess what? They were always going to exit, but we helped them prior to exiting with this due diligence process, getting the marketing and sales ops infrastructure in place. And their acquirer, a Fortune 100 company. X'd a lot of X's on the multiple. And that is not a coincidence. Clean infrastructure doesn't just help you run better. It makes you a company that someone wants to buy, acquire, purchase. It makes your business legible, scalable, and defensible to people with very serious wallets and very serious due diligence processes. We have several other clients right now in various stages of exit conversations, and every single one of them has done this foundational work first or in the process of exiting. The data isn't just a reporting tool, it's a valuation tool. Sit with that for a second. All right, I'm not going to leave you with a 15-step action plan because honestly, if I gave you 15 steps right now after everything we talked about, you close this episode, go make yourself a cup of coffee and never think about it again. So I'm going to give you 3 questions, just 3, and I want you to sit with them this week, this month. Not delegate them, not put them in a project management tool. Sit with them yourself. Maybe ask your bestie, Chatty or Claude, what percentage of your key CRM fields are filled out consistently? And I don't mean all your fields. I mean the 5 to 10 fields that actually drive your pipeline and your revenue decisions. And if you generally don't know the answer, that is your answer. Does your system reflect how your team actually works today? Not how they worked when the system was set up, not how the process was documented 3 years ago or 2 years ago. Today, there's a gap between those two things you're generating unstructured data every single day, and you don't even know it. If your board or your CEO or your president asks you to defend your pipeline number in a meeting tomorrow, not present it, that's different. Defend it. Again, we're coming up to the back half of the year. Could you? Could you answer the follow-ups? Could you explain the methodology? Could you stand it behind it completely and honestly? If the answer to any of those is no, or I'm not sure, or I have to check with someone else on my team first, we should talk. This is the work. It's not all that glamorous. It doesn't have a flashy product launch or a viral TikTok moment, but it is the thing that separates the companies that are scaling with clarity from the ones that are scaling with chaos. And I know which one you want to be. Link in the show notes if you want to connect. And next month, I'm getting personal. I'm going to tell you why I walked away from a Manhattan Fortune 500 career over a decade ago. What I saw when I looked around that room and what that decision has everything to do with what I taught you today. So for now, keep on listening to C-Suite Strategies because your next big business breakthrough may just be an episode away. I'll see you soon, Pod Squad. Thanks for joining. As we wrap up this episode of C-Suite Strategies, I want to express my sincere gratitude to you, our listeners, for tuning in and engaging with our podcast. Your commitment to business growth and operational excellence is what drives this podcast forward. If you enjoyed this episode, we'd be thrilled if you follow and subscribe to the podcast. Your help supports us to reach more ambitious business leaders just like you. And if you didn't enjoy it, well, I guess I'll see you never. This is your host, Stacie Sussman, Chief Revenue Officer at RevUp Advisory, signing off.